The boardroom was buzzing with excitement, projections flashing across the screen, and the CEO's voice booming with confidence about the company's newest innovation. Investors were nodding, executives were smiling, success seemed guaranteed. Then the heavy wooden doors creaked open. A man in a faded uniform stepped in, his hands still damp from dishwater, his eyes sharp with certainty. No one knew his name, but everyone stared when he spoke. "That design will fail," he said calmly, cutting through the air like a blade. The room fell silent. The CEO turned stunned. Who was this man, and how could he be so sure? Daniel Cruz never imagined he would be standing in front of the most powerful people in the company. His life wasn't glamorous. He was a single dad working double shifts as a dishwasher to provide for his little daughter, Lily. Every morning started the same, waking her up, packing her lunch, kissing her forehead, and then heading to the upscale hotel where he scrubbed dishes until his fingers ached. But Daniel had another life, a hidden passion. Before his world fell apart, before his wife left and the bills piled up, he had been an engineering student. He loved design, structure, and problem solving. He dreamed of building things that changed lives. That dream shattered when responsibility hit him like a storm, forcing him to drop out and take any job he could find. On this day, while stacking clean plates in the kitchen, he overheard something that made his heart pound. The executives were discussing the hotel's ambitious new partnership with a tech company to develop an advanced automated dishwashing system. A design that promised to revolutionize kitchens everywhere. But as Daniel listened, alarm bells rang in his mind. They were excited about a blueprint that, to him, sounded fatally flawed. The materials they were choosing, the angle of the spray arms, the heat distribution, all wrong. He knew this design would fail under real-world conditions. Daniel's first instinct was to stay silent. What right did a dishwasher have to challenge a CEO? But then he thought of Lily. He always told her to be brave, to speak the truth even when it's hard. How could he teach her that if he didn't live it himself? So he wiped his hands, took a deep breath, and walked toward the boardroom doors like a man stepping onto a battlefield. When he entered, the air was thick with authority. Men and women in suits turned to glare at him. The CEO, a tall, confident man named Richard Hale, raised an eyebrow. Daniel didn't wait for permission. He spoke. "That design will fail." His voice was steady, though his heart raced. Silence filled the room. Every pair of eyes was on him. Richard Hale wasn't used to being interrupted, especially by a dishwasher. The room tensed as the CEO stood up slowly, his expression unreadable. "Excuse me," he asked, his voice calm but edged with steel. Daniel swallowed hard but didn't back down. "I said your design will fail. The concept looks good on paper, but it won't survive real use." A ripple of disbelief spread through the executives. One man scoffed. "Who even are you?" Another whispered, "Get security." But Richard held up a hand, curiosity flickering in his eyes.
"And why do you think that?"
Daniel's mind raced. He had one shot. "Because you're using a dual spray mechanism with a fixed pivot. In theory, it covers all angles, but in practice, debris will block the lower jets within a week. Your heat cycle is too short to sanitize in high-volume kitchens. And the material you picked for the seals, they'll warp in 2 months under constant heat." He spoke fast but clear, passion spilling out with every word. The room fell silent again, but this time with a different weight. Richard tilted his head, studying Daniel like a puzzle. "And you know this because—" Daniel took a breath. "Because I've spent years watching these machines break down while washing thousands of plates a day. I know what works and what doesn't. And if you launch this, you'll have recalls within 6 months." For a long moment, Richard said nothing. Then he smiled faintly. "Interesting. What's your name?" "Daniel Cruz." Richard nodded. "Well, Daniel Cruz, you've got my attention." Some executives protested, but Richard ignored them. He invited Daniel to explain more. At first, Daniel hesitated. What if they laughed him out of the room? But the more he spoke, the more confident he became. He outlined the flaws, proposed solutions, and even sketched a quick alternative design on a notepad. His hands moved like they used to in college, his brain alive with ideas he thought he'd buried forever. By the time he finished, the room was silent again, but this time in awe. Richard leaned back, smiling like a man who just discovered gold. "Cancel the prototype," he said. "We're starting over." Daniel couldn't believe what happened next. Instead of being fired, he was asked to stay for lunch with the executives. They wanted to hear more, to pick his brain about real, world problems that only someone in the trenches could understand. For the first time in years, Daniel felt seen, not as a dishwasher, but as a thinker, a creator, a man with value beyond the grime under his nails. After the meeting, Richard called him aside. "You ever think about doing more than dishes?" he asked. Daniel laughed nervously. "Every day," he admitted. "I studied engineering before life happened." Richard's eyes narrowed with interest. "You want a shot? Come work with our design team. Part-time at first. Prove yourself." Daniel's heart raced. This was it. The chance he thought he'd lost forever. He accepted, and over the next months, his life changed. He balanced shifts at the hotel and hours in the design lab, fueled by passion and the memory of walking into that boardroom like a nobody and walking out with a dream reborn. A year later, the world knew Daniel Cruz's name. The company launched a dishwasher model that became an industry game changer thanks to his ideas. He stood on stage next to Richard Hale at the product unveiling, wearing a suit instead of an apron, with Lily in the front row beaming with pride. When reporters asked how it happened, Daniel smiled. "I just spoke up when I saw something wrong." But deep inside, he knew it was more than that. It was courage, persistence, and the belief that even the smallest voice can change the course of giants.